think as the comments we've heard reflect, we'll know that Jerry Alpern played a pivotal role in shaping alumni engagement and recognition at the ILR School. Knowing Jerry was a pleasure for all of us, and he'll continue to be honored and remembered for generations to come. This is the first Groat Alpern celebration without Jerry being here in person with us, but he's here with us in spirit. I'm sure he'd want us to celebrate with the same vigor and joy that he always brought to this event. Like Jerry, former Dean, fellow ILR alum, and Professor David Lipsky also had a profound impact both on the school and to those he encountered. This is also the first Groat Alpern without David, who sadly passed earlier this year. I was blessed to count him as one of my mentors, and I know many of you feel the same way. We're going to be hosting a celebration of life event on campus in honor of David on May 12th, and I hope that many of you will be able to attend in person or virtually. Highlight of David and his wife Sandy's time at ILR was always attending this event each year. We love connecting with former students, a tradition I hope will all continue as you connect with former faculty and classmates, and we all make new connections. So, on behalf of Jerry and David, I want to welcome you all to the 2023 Groat and Alpern Awards celebrations. I want to do a few shout-outs to get started. First, and always most importantly, our students. We've got a number of student attendees. So student attendees, please raise your hands. So alums, please say hello to our students. Number of faculty here. Faculty can raise your hands. So if you want to connect with a former professor, look out for the faculty. We also have a number of guests here from a conference we're holding today, Scheiman National Academy of Arbitrators on preparing an inclusive next generation of workplace neutrals. So welcome to all our participants from there. And of course, all ILR alums. Hands up, ILR alums. Yeah, nice to see you all. So let's get to the main event. We're here to celebrate a couple of amazing awardees. We are going to start with the Groat and Alpern Award. And this year marks the 24th year of the Alpern Award. I see a number of former Alpern recipients here in the audience. Even go back to our very first Alpern recipient, Ann Evans-Esterbrook. I see her here up at the front. Hi, Ann. Now, the Alpern Award is given in recognition to those engaged in service to the ILR School in combination with significant professional achievements outside of the traditional ILR fields. But I sometimes wonder, what is a traditional ILR field, since ILRs do so many amazing things. And it's an honor to welcome this year's winner, Ed Baum, class of 1981, to this esteemed group. So, few words about Ed. Ed began his career as a mediator when he was 20 years old, back in his ILR days. Since then, as an attorney, he's mediated hundreds of disputes through his work at Proskauer, and for the past many years at Perkins Coie. Over the past 10 years, Ed has been recognized by New York super lawyers as a super lawyer. And that recognition is fitting given Ed's corporate litigation talent and expert counsel to corporate clients spanning financial services, pharmaceutical, information technology, automotive, transportation, and industrial products industries. Ed's a true ILRie who's been actively involved at the school through his service on the Dean's Advisory Council and the Scheiman Institute Board of Directors. He also serves as a guest lecturer through the Scheiman Institute. And in 2014, Ed and his wife, Holly Wallace, created a scholarship fund that supports students attending Cornell who are active in the New York Metro chapter of the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, NIFTY. And NIFTY is an organization that teaches startup business skills to ignite the entrepreneurial mindset in students from under-resourced communities. And finally, I know that Ed also counts himself as a very proud ILR parent, as Ed and Holly's daughter Claire graduated from ILR in the class of 2016, keeping up that family connection. So it is my great pleasure to present to Ed the Alpern Award this year.
It is a unique responsibility to be the first to have to accept an honor named for a giant among ILRs without having him there with us, to be thanked in person for all he did for ILR and to inspire so many of us. As I told Jerry's daughter, Sue, Jerry was such a force that I remember when I first met him more than 40 years ago, right outside Ives Hall. It's when Sue and I were classmates in the class of '81. And her parents were visiting on campus. But Jerry was so memorable, 45, 46 years later, I remember that event distinctly. Jerry charmed me then, and he inspired me in the decades since when I had chances to encounter him here at other ILR events, and really inspired many of us to live up to his example of service to our remarkable school. So it's a great honor, and I feel the weight of it on my shoulders, and fortunately, Jennifer Dean, warned us in advance that trophy is heavy, and indeed, rightfully so, because it's named after Jerry Alpern. Now, this particular room in the Pierre has always been very special, even magical for me, ever since the first time I set foot in this very room. I was here the first time wearing a tuxedo with my bride Holly at my side, on the greatest night of my life, and I submit the greatest night in the history of the world. No, it was not our wedding. It was the night that, as a junior law firm associate, attending my first law firm prom, I nearly lost my dinner on the partner's wife right next to me. And my career might have ended right then and there. And the cause of that distress was a waiter who stepped to this very podium, to this microphone, but an older version of this microphone, and he uttered the most devastating words I think I'd ever heard. Boston Red Sox 3, New York Mets 0. But as I said, this is a magical room. By the end of that night, October 27th, 1986, the score was Mets 8, Red Sox 5, and the Mets were world champions. And here I am again in the same room, so the magic is back. But seriously, nearly everything that led to my being here in this room tonight, and nearly every step in my career, and for the careers of my family members, is attributable directly to Cornell, and more specifically for many of us, to ILR. And in fact, you can draw a straight line from my very first encounter with ILR as a high school senior to my being here tonight. In those days, when we were applying for admission, applicants were called into live interviews at the New York City office. I think it was on 43rd Street, if I recall. And they brought us into a big room with 20 or so other seniors. And I walked in there and I saw 20 other eager applicants and one parent. Just one parent in the room, a father who would not leave, to his daughter's very visible embarrassment. So being a shy future ILR, typically shy, I stepped in and I persuaded the doting dad to leave. Now, my smug act as a 17-year-old back then was the root cause of my being here tonight. And not for the obvious reason, because obviously I sweet-talked the faculty into admitting me, but because the daughter of the father that I ushered out of the room became the class of '81 alumna Dolores Gebhardt. And for what I assume is a misguided expression of gratitude some 46 or 7 years later for sparing her the embarrassment of her father in the room, Dolores was the primary instigator for my being nominated for this award here tonight. So, payback received. Yeah. And I've often said, and there's actually a published opinion, judicial opinion in New Jersey, quoting me for saying this, on behalf of a client, however, no good deed goes unpunished. So there you are. Now, that was when I was 17. In the matter of precocious ILRs, my first serious career step was not until I was 20. And when, thanks to ILR, I began to work as a field examiner for the National Labor Relations Board. And that led to a life... But that led to a lifelong passion for serving as a dispute resolution professional. As the dean said, I mediated and settled my first disputes while there at the age of 20, thanks to what I was learning in ILR. I ultimately grew a mustache that year because when I was 20, I looked like I was 15. So when parties would actually meet me, they would, is Mr. Baum going to join us? And a little bit of ILR trivia. My office mate that year was also an Alpern Award nominee, Tracy Dulgin. So we are a very tightly knit family here in ILR. Now, in the years that followed, I was able to get through law school thanks to help from ILR alumni, whose connections enabled me to secure the part-time jobs I needed at two excellent law firms while in law school that enabled me to get through school. In that era of lean financial aid, without those jobs, it might not have been possible to pay for such, luxuries as tuition, room, food, that sort of thing. But ILR connections gave me those jobs and launched my career. And after law school, again, directly attributable to ILR, I was privileged to enjoy the incomparable experience of clerking for a distinguished federal district judge, the Honorable I. Leo Glasser, who became a great mentor and lifelong friend. But when I interviewed with Judge Glasser for the clerkship, he showed me a pile of about 500 resumes, and he said they were all extremely well qualified. But Judge Glasser told me that what made him pick my resume out from that huge pile was ILR, because Judge Glasser's wife, the now late Grace Gribbets Glasser, was one of the first women to graduate from ILR. Judge Glasser turned 99 this month. He called me 2 days ago from chambers and before going on the bench for sentencing to offer his congratulations for this award and thank you for recognizing his wife. The judge wanted to be here tonight, but his kids wisely persuaded him that coming into a room with a few hundred people might not be the best idea for staying on the bench. But 99 years young and still going strong. And I'm just saying, there may be something to do with being married to an ILR. Yeah. So let's see. I've taken you all up to roughly age 26 in my bio, and I think I've already run over my allotted time. So I could continue to explain how many ways ILR has made possible my career trajectory and my life choices since then, in the 4 decades since I was, almost 4 decades since I was 26. But during that period, I've been privileged to practice with some of the greatest law firm partners and colleagues and friends anyone could ever wish. Many are here tonight, and I'm so grateful to have you here. And I could just call out one or two in particular. Another honoree, my partner for about 10 years when I was at Proskauer Paul Salvatore, was a Groat honoree, is here as well. Also class of 1981, so I think it's now an class of 81 trifecta for these awards. And I'd also like to throw a shout out to the most junior member of our law firm, Perkins Coie, at least in our New York office, Mariah Carter. Mariah, are you here? Oh, there she is. Cornell Law School class of 1922. Cornell just keeps on giving, and we're thrilled to have it. And Mariah even endured a Ithaca cyclone a couple of years ago to come hear one of my guest lectures. So if that's not dedication, I have no idea what is. Meanwhile, in about 3 weeks, we'll be having an even more important event at Cornell, the Return of the Dead, on May 8th for the Dead & Co. show. And at that show, I'll be giving a more important talk to the Cornell community as an alumni of the 5877 show, together with my Perkins Coie partner, Larry Reichman, who is also a veteran of that show. Cornell just involves us in all aspects of our life. Now let me turn to the common ILR threads that tie it all together. As my colleagues know, the two things I love to do most as a litigator and as a neutral is to try cases and to negotiate deals. For the former, the start of it all was Professor James Gross, who in his labor law class introduced me to the law and how this whole darn thing works. And it was Professor Gross who gave me my first taste of trial practice in his arbitration course 40-odd years ago. And for negotiation and bargaining, it was Professor David Lipsky. In the multiple courses I was privileged to take with Dave on collective bargaining and negotiation, I've carried those lessons with me every day since, and right here to this moment. and we're all very much diminished by the loss of our great friend and mentor, and will be forever enriched by having learned from and with David. But rather than dwell on myself, I'd rather leave you with a message of what Cornell and ILR have done for our whole extended family and what we all can do. When my brother, sister, and I were contemplating college in the 1970s, the financial strains of that era and double-digit inflation, remember that? Double-digit inflation? That left us with only two choices for college: attend one of the SUNY schools, or if we could get in, attend one of the state-supported colleges at Cornell, ILR, CALS, we called it AG then, or HUMEC. And in those days, support from the state of New York covered roughly half of tuition. And so, with those constraints, and in keeping with Ezra Cornell's vision, we three siblings each found our own places at Cornell. My brother Howard was in CALS, in AG. Our sister Ellen was in HUMEC. And I, of course, went to ILR. Any study for any student. And Howard's wife, Ellen, we have two Ellens in our family. It's confusing. Ellen came from even more limited means and was fortunate to secure full financial aid to attend the Arts and Sciences College. But for the financial support that all four Baums from our generation received, from the state of New York or from financial aid, none of us could have attended Cornell. But today, the state no longer provides that level of support that we enjoyed, and that's so much needed by students today. Fortunately for the next Baum generation, the paths Cornell set us upon enabled us to get our own kids through excellent colleges without outside help, including two alumni from Cornell, our nephew Eric, who's out in Colorado, and our daughter Claire, who you've already met. But we can and must find ways to share those experiences with all the talented and motivated students of whatever means and family backgrounds could and aspire to and qualify for an education at Cornell, including especially those for whom this would be who would be the first in their families to attend college. As some of you know, when I'm not practicing law or singing ILR's virtues, I'm also privileged to serve in leadership globally of the Jewish Reconstructionist movement and of my local synagogue. And in the religion business, we have a saying. Loosely paraphrased, it's that people who become members of the community by choice, as opposed to being born into it, often become the most active and dedicated members of that community. And so it is with my wife, Holly Wallace. Holly's only connection to Cornell, or so we thought until recently, was having married into a Cornell family and having eventually mothered a future Cornell alumna. A footnote, we learned just a couple of years ago that Holly actually has a lineage that precedes ours at Cornell. She had a relative in the class of 76, 1876. But we didn't know that until recently. But in the true spirit of someone who becomes a member of a community by choice, Holly has thrown herself wholeheartedly into supporting Cornell and the Cornell community. She has long served in leadership of a not-for-profit, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, or NIFTY, which is dedicated to developing programs for teaching entrepreneurship and business planning to students in underserved high schools. At Holly's inspiration, we connected NIFTY with ILR about a decade ago, and each summer we bring a busload of NIFTY students to campus to learn about Cornell and the admissions process. And for many, it's their first visit to a real college campus. And so we also created a scholarship to support NIFTY students admitted to Cornell, with, of course, preference for ILR. And I'm thrilled to say that the first recipient of support from the Baum and Wallace Family Scholarship, going back now almost 10 years, she graduated from Cornell in the class of 2017 and from Howard Law School this past spring. And she is now serving in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware as a law clerk to Judge Craig Goldblatt. And she's right here with us tonight. I hope the train got here on time. Let me ask Imani Robertson. Imani, are you here? Oh, there you are, right in front of me. Stand up, stand up. And that truly is what it's all about. Now, I'm sure that as Imani moves into private practice next year and grows into what will be an enormously successful career and becomes her firm's lead bankruptcy partner within 3 or 4 years, she will do whatever she can to support aspiring future generations of Cornellians and Howard students. So let me ask that each and every alumni and friend who's here tonight, who's with us, think just as creatively as Holly thought about what you too can do to support future students and our school. And then just do it. Thank you again for honoring me by association with the incomparable Jerome Alpern, and most of all, for honoring us by joining in support of this great institution and its remarkable students. Thank you.
Great, congratulations, Ed. Now I am going to present the Judge William B. Groat Alumni Award. This year marks the 53rd year of the Groat Award. Judge Groat played a pivotal role in the founding of the ILR School, and this annual award is presented to a person like Judge Groat who excelled professionally in the field of industrial and labor relations. It's my honor to present this year's award to Christy Pambianchi, class of 1990. After graduating, Christy began her career at PepsiCo in labor employment relations in multiple regions before joining their corporate office, eventually providing HR support for a company-wide IT transformation. From there, Christy moved on to Corning Inc., where she became VP of People in Digital, serving in leadership roles, including CHRO, over a 12-year period. Next, Christy joined Verizon as EVP and CHRO. While there, she reimagined Verizon's HR mission and practices, delivering an enterprise strategic transformation workforce plan to stay at the forefront of the digital transformation. Christy currently serves as EVP and CPO at Intel Corporation and is responsible for driving Intel's people strategy and fostering a vibrant culture focused on bold innovation, flawless execution, and continuous development and learning. In 2017, Christy was installed as a fellow to the National Academy of Human Resources and currently serves on its foundation board. She's been very active at ILR. Christy's been involved with the ILR Center for Advanced Human Resource Studies since 2000 and is on their board since 2011. She also serves on the ILR School's Dean's Advisory Council and often participates in career development discussions with our students. I particularly appreciated Christy's efforts in the fall of 2018 when I'd just taken over the deanship, and I had the perhaps crazy idea of trying to revive that old ILR tradition of bus riding. Does anybody here did bus riding back in the day at ILR? I see some hands. So, chance to take the students to visit some industrial sites to see what's really going on in the workplace. Who was going to help out? Well, Christy stepped up, volunteered Corning as our partner for this effort. So that fall, we loaded up the entire incoming ILR class, some 270 students, on buses, headed down to Corning, where Christy had assembled her entire team, programmed a full day of activities, heading out to the plants. It's the day I learned how you make a catalytic converter. That's the kind of commitment Christy's had to ILR. I know she takes that commitment to all her professional activities. She's a proud alum, and we're very proud to be giving her today the 53rd Groat Award. Congratulations, Christy.
Thank you, Dean Colvin, and thank you for everyone who's here tonight. It is truly an honor to receive such an incredible award and to join the cohort of all of the prior Groat Award winners. I'm truly moved. I'm surrounded today by my family who are here, all of the ILR alumni that are here, the faculty, many of whom I studied with, as well as the staff who have become colleagues and friends over the years, friends of mine, classmates, my freshman year roommate, colleagues from my HR career across the companies that I've worked at, and mentors who have guided me along the way. Well, I want to start by thanking so many people. I want to start by thanking my mom. My mom passed away at 34 when I was 11. But even before she died, she left an indelible impression on me and my sisters regarding the importance of work and the importance of humility. She was a nurse, like my sister Rachel. She had a huge heart, my mom. We always had somebody down on their luck living in our house with us. We had like the basement had a convertible couch that we always had various people that we were helping. And she always said to me and my sisters that we were not better than anyone else. We put our pants on one leg at a time, and that the world needed people from all walks of life to pursue every job. She never wanted us to be arrogant, and she placed incredible value on work. It was important to her that we worked and that we took care of ourselves and our family, and that was something to be proud of. And so when her life was tragically cut short, I remember promising myself at that young age in middle school that I had to use my life to do something meaningful and to make a difference. And this incredible recognition today really closes that loop for me. I have some of my old managers and bosses in the room that have helped me enormously. I've been running my whole life. My dad would always say, slow down, Christy, you don't have to be perfect. But I would never let myself off the hook. And this recognition transcends all of that for me. And it is letting me know it mattered that I was here. I helped make a difference in some way in the world, and I could stop running. It goes without saying that Cornell changed my life, and ILR in particular, and all of you are here because it did for you too. It's an amazing place. You are an amazing community. I am so grateful to be part of it. The vision of the ILR School, we exist to drive positive change in work, employment, and labor that advances the world of work. What a perfect aspiration. Work. The world of work. After sleep, work is where we will spend the majority of our adult lives, which I learned at pre-Cana when my husband and I were doing an exercise of how important we were to each other. He's a physicist from Cornell. I wrote Mike was number 1 on my list, and I was number 7 on his list. I was like traumatized. He was like, well, I just did a calculation of how many hours a day I sleep, and I'm at work, and I'm at the lab, and then I see you 2 hours a day, so you're like 7th on the list. Kind of a physicist way to look at things. But if you bring it back to our profession, what we do is all about the world of work. Whether you're professors doing research on thought-leading ways to do that, whether you're lawyers, arbitrators, mediators, helping drive conflict resolution, or people like me that chose to pursue a career in human resources. All of the empirical evidence, much of it generated by the researchers at the ILR School, affirm the critical role that work plays in the quality of someone's life, in their social mobility, in their physical and mental health, in the opportunities they and their family have. I fell in love with this profession because it created an opportunity to make a difference in this experience, in this very thing, work. So as an HR leader, I keep in mind that I serve 3 stakeholders. First, the organization. Is the organization I'm working for have a human capital plan? Do we have a winning culture? Are we going to have the talent we need to succeed? Second, I serve the leaders of the company. Do we have the right leadership team? Do they have the right people on their team? Do they have the org designs, the structures, the tools, the capabilities to make their team successful to achieve our mission? But third, and most importantly, I serve the employees. Are we creating the culture and the opportunity for employees to thrive, for them to reach their personal and their professional aspirations? Are we, as leaders of our companies, living the values that we espouse? Are we treating our employees with dignity and respect? And are we caring for the intersection of work and life? They're not separate. And we know from lots of research done at ILR, companies that get this right thrive, and so do their employees. So in the end, this is a large optimization problem, and that's what drew me to human resources. Companies need and want great employees. And people need and want to work, not only to survive, but to thrive. So I have dedicated my career to optimizing this equation, and I've had the opportunity to do so for 4 amazing companies over my 33 years since graduating, at Pepsi, at Corning, at Verizon, and now at Intel. I've had the opportunity to impact hundreds of thousands of lives, and I carry with me the values taught by my family, my career mentors, my ILR colleagues, professors, and friends every day. As Ezra Cornell's vision says, I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any study. So I am standing here before you as the granddaughter of an 8th grade educated immigrant who came through Ellis Island in 1923, and now later am a graduate of an Ivy League college at that SUNY tuition, which was $4,400 a year in 1986 for the whole school year. And I am a living example of the impact of Ezra Cornell's vision and the power of what a Cornell education can do. So in closing, I want to especially thank my dad. He's here with me tonight. My dad always supported me. He encouraged me to work, and he especially encouraged me to be a working mom when that wasn't the norm. So thank you, Dad. I want to thank my incredible sisters. There's 3 of them. Raise your hands. Debbie, Becky, and Rachel. They have been my strength my whole life, and they're each incredible inspirations, working moms and amazing community citizens. My mentors and professors who traveled, who took the time out of their incredibly busy schedules to be here with me tonight, I thank you. You take my calls. You make me a better version of myself. You listen to me when I've lost my mind and get me back on track, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And lastly, this speech would not be complete if I didn't thank Mike. It's my husband, Mike. Now, to all the Cornell alum out there, you know there's a very high rate of Cornellians marrying Cornellians, so I will not break the mold. I met Mike my 2nd week at Cornell. He lived across the hall from me in High-Rise 1. We dated and we got married 6 years later at Sage Chapel in 1992, and we've been married for over 30 years. We have 4 amazing children who are also here with us tonight. 2 of them Cornellians. Phineas is class of 21, and Sarah is a class of 25 in the engineering school. Avery is a jazz trumpet player. You might see him soon one day. And Harry, with the top hat, is a sophomore, aspiring mechanical engineer or math PhD, maybe with a Cornell future. I love you all so much. You have changed mine and Dad's lives in ways that are unimaginable. And finally, to all of the guests here tonight, to the ILR community, I'd like to leave you with this parting thought. Remember, it is not the big things. It's the hundreds and thousands of little things we do that add add up over time to make a difference. I always say, and my kids are all going to laugh when I say this, there are no shortcuts. You have to do the work. The little things add up to the big things. And so may we continue to walk in the words and the challenge of Ezra Cornell in service of the greater good. Thank you so much.
So let's continue to eat, drink, and one last round of applause for both Ed and Christy.